3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Racing World, brought to you by Perspective Group. It's your motorsport podcast show in conjunction with Race Control Magazine.
Well, welcome to another edition of Racing World. Today, it's all F1 and Monaco Grand Prix. Just a few days ago now, joining me, my old mate Bob, and no one better to talk to about Formula One than Bob McMurray. So, Bob, Monaco, it had plenty, didn't it?
Let's talk Formula 2 for a start.
That's avoiding the subject.
I've got to, just mention Formula 2, Liam Lawson, Marcus Armstrong, both of whom were dudded in one way or another. Superb drive by Liam Lawson. Absolutely fantastic drive by Liam Lawson. Suffered initially from a very good qualifying, to be honest, and that sort of put him on the back foot all the way. Pole position, got the technical penalty, which I think is a driver error, because I think it's him that has to adjust on the steering wheel. I'm not sure about that. Got to find out. And then Marcus Armstrong put into the wall, effectively. So both guys, what's that phrase? Character building, I think it is. But you wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. At least Liam has stood on the podium with the champagne at Monaco. All the film is there, everything else is there. And
you can't take that
you
back.
can't take that back. It's all over the world. So good on those boys. They're back in Baku next weekend, in 2 weekends' time, next race.
Yep.
So we'll see how they go there. I think they're probably both quite fired up. Formula One over Monaco, well, it was a pretty boring race, to be honest. But that's exactly what Monaco is. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting Monaco, put it that way. No. But that's what it is. Unless you see individual battles through it, you know, the bit about Vettel coming out and Gasly and him going together up the hill, which amazingly the television Monte Carlo director, this is not FOM, this is a standalone race, don't forget, missed completely, went to a slow-mo replay of somebody going over, Stroll going over curbs. How ridiculous.
Those television directors, eh?
Oh, those television directors. They don't really know what people want to see, do they? That's the whole thing. I suppose I should preface that in Formula One by saying, marking the fact that Max Mosley, the ex-FIA president, who had a huge impact with Bernie Ecclestone, let's not forget that Bernie Ecclestone and Max Mosley made or initiated Formula One as it is today.
Yep.
So his death... I heard about it today, 81 years of age. I didn't even know he was due for it, but at 81 years of age, I guess your number's somewhere around there, isn't there? What else to say about Monaco?
Well, I've got a few for you. I'll throw them at you, if you like.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Mercedes.
Yeah. I'm going to have a rant a bit later on about something here, but so I won't take too long. Mercedes. They came over with me this weekend. Okay, they cocked up. The car wasn't quick enough.
No.
The pit stop with Bottas went disastrously wrong because of the nut was what they call machined on. I believe that all the edges were rounded on the nut in the end, and they couldn't move it one way or the other. And I read this morning, it's still on the wheel. It's still on the hub. They can't get it off, so it's got to go back to the factory. But all the ranting and raving of Lewis Hamilton when... previous races, I love those boys. They're just, this team is the best one. That's what I noticed and all the rest of it. It's almost like there's a sense of entitlement that comes into Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton. If we can't win, well, there's got to be a problem and all the rest of it. For God's sakes, you can't win all the time. It is not possible, but it's just, you had a bad weekend. That's it.
We've discussed it before, but the tone in Lewis's voice, across a lot of the conversation. Come on, boys, what's going on? And all of that.
Yeah.
Sure, you're back further in the pack, but get used to it because you're not always at the front end of the,
Yeah, exactly. And it's not up to Lewis Hamilton to try and be the boss of the team. You don't get any people trying harder than the people themselves. Yeah. So for him to say, oh, what's wrong? I'm sorry, it didn't work well with me. Well, that's it. They'll come to Baku next time and things will be different. Yeah. You've got to feel sorry for Leclerc.
Yeah,
his own fault.
Yes.
But you've also got to say to Ferrari, this is, Tuesday morning quarterback, and I would have done bit different. You've got to say to Ferrari that it might not have been caused by the shunt, they said in the first place, that the drive shaft failed, but then it was. Well, if you're going to look at the back end of a car, surely you take everything off the back end of the car And although the gearbox is okay, therefore you don't suffer the penalty, wouldn't you want to change all the bits and pieces that are attached to the gearbox, like the hub and things like that?
Well, no different than probably repairing in a greater scale, and we're not going into an IndyCar show as such, but Alex Palau's accident at Indy during qualifying and then getting him back out to the Fast 9, basically it was pretty much a brand new car.
Yeah.
So why did Leclerc, within the confines of the rules, why did Ferrari not do some of those things?
Yeah, there has got to be a reason. I don't know. I can't probably second question them, but on the face of it, it looked like they made a cock up, really, in many ways, because, well, it would have been good to see Leclerc in the race for a start,
yes,
because that would have made a completely different complexion on the fact that basically Max Verstappen owned that race from
Carlos.
turn one, corner one. Verstappen owned that race, and it was only Carlos Sainz behind that was really giving him any aggravation, and he was quite a long way behind for a lot of the time, 2, 3, 4 seconds closest.
And I guess too, we can't really read into, I've seen a few comments, this is the resurgence of Ferrari, but Monaco's not one of those tracks where you can determine that, because we've got to get back to a high speed track. Everyone's an equal player at Monaco based on where you qualify.
Yeah, Monaco is an
unique.
anomaly, as much of an anomaly as Indianapolis 500 is in many ways. Yeah, it is an anomaly. Okay, the quickest cars are always going to be at the front and all that sort of thing, but yeah, you can't read too much into it. I think we'll get back to Baku. Even after Baku, it'll settle down, because Baku's another street race. The good guys about it all, I mean, the top three for a start. They all drove fantastic races. Yeah. Lando in third position, wonderful. That reflects not very well on Danny Ricciardo, who has won that race, who's been on pole position twice. It kind of befuddles you a little bit, and probably him by what he says, that why he can't get up to speed as speedy as Lando is, but there you go.
There was a comment where he said, I can't believe I was a lap slower than Lando.
He was lapped.
He was lapped as well.
Lapped by Lando.
Martin Brundle said that within his commentary. Oh, this is going to be painful, and you can see Lando waving as he goes past.
Well, I hope that wasn't a hi.
No, I think it was a thank you. It looked like a thank you,
but
even so, how demoralising is that when you think that you'll,
it was. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Really, that was. I hope he breaks out of it. Well, two reasons. First of all, I'm a great fan of Danny Ricciardo, as many people are. Secondly, he ain't lost talent. Thirdly, he's driving for McLaren, and I will still support McLaren, whatever. And I'd like to see them up there, especially with that little, that livery on the thing for Monaco, which is quite good. I wrote lots of things down, like I do over the weekend, mainly because I spend about 82 hours a day watching racing, including NASCAR and Formula 2 and the Porsche and everything else. Jackson Evans did well in the Porsches. Incidentally, Kiwi driver Jackson Evans finished third on race one, second on the next race.
Product of Andy McElroy.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, they've got lots of stuff here, but the Vettel and Racing Point. Now, this is an anomaly, I know, but even with this race being an anomaly, Vettel drove incredibly well around there to get where he did. I mean, where did he end up? He was fifth, wasn't he? He drove incredibly well. Good tactics from Racing Point, far better than Mercedes at the time, for them to jump Lewis Hamilton and for Perez to jump Lewis Hamilton as well. Yeah, I couldn't help Hamilton's mood at all. Sebastian Vettel, to a certain extent, Lance Stroll. I think they had really good races indeed. And Vettel's, his innate ability and bravery, I think, came through there. I'd criticise him all the way.
Which we've been waiting to see for a while.
Precisely that, and on a track as difficult as Monaco. Not only when you're in a race, but to just to drive for that, that number of laps or that pace around
it's
there.
Phenomenal.
Don't care who you are, to do that properly. You did it really well. So, that was Monaco Grand Prix. It is an anomaly. It's all over and done with. The race is almost immaterial when it comes to it. It's glory and all sorts of things, but it's
one race in a championship season.
It's the jewel in the crown, but the jewel is on the deals and everything was going in around it. It's good to see it back, though. Didn't happen last year. It's good to see it back.
Other one, Ocon versus Alonso.
Alonso is still not quite there, is he?
No.
He's
no, and I think that's surprising him too.
He was 13, but Ocon was 9th, and he He qualified better. He did things better generally. I was looking at the points as well earlier on. Ocon has 12 points and Alonso has 5, and it's that sort of thing in the championship that keeps going. I don't doubt that that Alonso, like Ricciardo, is going to get better. I don't doubt that. But yeah, you've got to. There's a sort of a new boy over the old boy being established there, and I think it's important that Ocon will also get better. So we'll see what happens there.
Just looking at Valtteri before we kind of summarise the points and everything, how damaging is this race to him when it comes to contract negotiations? Yes, sure, Mercedes can go, no, we know it was our fault, it was an engineering issue, but at the end of the day, there's no points on the board.
No, I don't think that race is damaging to his...
he just looks so depressed in the pit area.
Yeah, well, you would be if you were doing pretty well. I mean, after when Leclerc's accident happened, there was Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Carlos Sainz, and about 8 others that said they could have got pole position.
Yeah, everyone.
And I don't think any of them were going to, nonetheless. They all said that. But the mere fact that Bottas was proclaiming that is... He's still trying to say, I'm quick,
I'm in the game.
Don't worry about it. And he is quick, there's no doubt about that. He just doesn't seem to race as well as Lewis when he's out there. That's what a number 2 is, but he doesn't want to be a number 2, he wants to be number 1. I don't think that's going to hurt, that race is going to hurt his issue at all, because it wasn't his fault, and he was racing well. I just do think that his overall championship this year has not been fantastic, and I think it's going to be time for them to change the guard at the end of the year, perhaps. But who knows? Mercedes are they're their own thing.
So where's it leave us points wise now?
Well, Max is on top, as is Red Bull, 105 to 104. Not a lot. I think Lewis Hamilton will come back next time. Look, Lando Norris 56 points, and Bottas now 47. So Lando's doing pretty well, but Lando's or McLaren's issue is not going to be with Bottas or whatever. I think that's going to be with the likes of Perez, Leclerc and Sainz, who are the next lot up. They all get down to about 33 points, Carlos Sainz. Then Ricciardo's a drop-off to 24, and then the rest just fall away. When you come to the Constructors' Championship, there's only 3 teams in it, really. Red Bull, 149, Mercedes, 148, McLaren, 80, and Ferrari, 78. The next one down is 19 points. Yeah, so they're it's out of the game. Way. So 2 weeks' time, week and a bit's time now,
Baku.
We go off to Baku. Baku, another street circuit. Ricciardo's won there before. The last 2 years, not last year, it didn't happen. But 18 and 19, won by Bottas and Hamilton, so Mercedes. Hamilton and Bottas the other way around. The one thing that's going to happen there, apart from being a street track, is this issue with the bendy rear wing coming up. Now,
Is this the rant?
I get, a little bit. At the beginning of the year, the rules are there, and the cars are inspected by everybody, and this is the bendy test for the wing, and this is how it is. This is the most you can do.
Yeah, you got me.
Passed that, no problem. Red Bull passed that, and they pass it every race when they test it, under the current rules. And now Mercedes is saying, oh, you're cheating because, your wing is bending more than ours. Our wing bends, but more than ours. And that's against the rules and all sorts of stuff. Well, it may be against the rules if they rewrite them, but it's not against the rules at the moment. But this Article 3.8 says it should not bend excessively. It gets through the regulations. What they're trying to do here is make every car exactly the same. The history of Formula One has been innovation. And finding a way around the rules.
That's what stands it out from IndyCar, which is a spec series.
Exactly. You can go back to all sorts of things that have happened in Formula One over the years. Putting lead in the water, water tanks for cooler brakes.
Fans on the Brabham.
Fans on the Brabham. All these sorts of things are the very essence of innovation in Formula One. The fact that as soon as somebody comes up with something different that's a bit quicker, you write the rules at the end of the year or for the next year, not suddenly rewrite them or relitigate the rule or the inspection or the scrutineering midway through the year. You've just got around something there, and it's been deemed legal. If it's legal last week and the week before, it's legal next week and the week after. That's the essence of Formula One, for God's sakes. If you're going to make all the bloody cars the same, every little anomaly that comes up, that's it, can't do that. They're all going to look the same. We might as well do IndyCar or Toyota Racing Series or F2 or F3. One make series.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're just destroying the innovation of Formula One, which is what the whole careers of Chapman and well, people in the past, John
Iconic
Barnard,
designers. Adrian Newey still with Red Bull.
They keep coming up with stuff.
Yeah. That's what he's paid to do.
It's exactly what they're paid to do, and that's the innovation of Formula One, and long may it go. Gaining an advantage is the whole point of having the best engineers in the world working in Formula One. You've got to gain an advantage. And if that's the advantage, which was within the prescribed rules at the time, this has only come up because you've seen it on TV. You know, seen the bendy rear wing on TV.
Yep.
And Mercedes saw it and told Lewis Hamilton to say something about it. And, it just gets me, and I think you shouldn't.
But equally, just to sort of, I guess, finish that topic off, isn't it interesting that when you have a team, and we've been through multiple eras, we had the Schumacher era with Ferrari, and we've obviously had the Mercedes era with Lewis, is the fact that when things go well and you're under no threat, life's jolly, but when you're under a bit of pressure, life changes.
Yeah.
But that's the story of sport, isn't it?
It's exactly
the same with IndyCar, Porsche, whatever you want to say.
Of course.
You look at the fortunes at Indy this week. If you were a Honda-based team, you're pretty smiling. If you're a Chevy-based team, you weren't. And yet 2 years ago, you didn't want to even remotely have a Honda in the back of your car. So it's a circular fact, and it's probably a lesson that Mercedes need to learn right now.
Well, they've got to come up with something. I mean, I don't doubt the Mercedes
I'm
have
not
got
doubting
their
them at
own
all.
little things that have been going on for years. But I come back to it. There is the rule is written, and everybody says, okay, that's the rule. But then the cars are scrutineered, and they're inspected by the FIA under that rule with the prescribed things to measure the bendiness.
Yep.
It passed that test. End of story. So, Mercedes, you go and do something about it and see if you can come up with an equal innovation, because that's what it is. Every team should be looking out for the tiniest advantage somehow or another.
Exactly. It's
Whatever
the competitive
it is,
edge.
Yeah, exactly that. So,
Okay,
anyway,
so
we'll look forward to Baku and see just what happens.
So just before we wrap up, Baku, more of the same of Monaco, and yet it's very, very fast in places as well.
Yeah.
So will that maybe put Ferrari on a slightly more back foot?
Well, I think, yes, I think compared to Mercedes it will, and probably compared to Red Bull.
Yeah.
The big issue around Baku is going to be this bendy rear wing thing and the protest and the counter protest. But
Which
we'll
is
leave
just
that aside.
Yeah.
On pure performance terms, you've got to think that Mercedes will get better there because of the long straight Mercedes engines, that sort of thing. You've got to think that Red Bull have really got a bit of wind under their tail now. That car is clearly handling well and has done all year. And Perez is getting better and better, so he's going to be in the mix as well. Yeah, it's going to be difficult to see what comes up. And don't forget that as the McLaren car improves a little bit as well, it's got a Mercedes engine. As has Racing Point. No, sorry, what are they called? Aston Martin.
The green car.
Yeah, so, yeah, all those things together. It's going to make an interesting race at the top 3 or 4 teams, certainly. If you go right to the back, we're always going to get Haas at the back at the moment. In which order it is, I'm not going to be sure. But
that's just the nature of the game.
Mazepin really needs to up his game a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's all that lot in the middle with the likes of Ocon and all those sorts of people. Yeah, they're all just going to get mixed up. You're going to get one of those starring now and again. Of course you will.
Yeah.
But Baku, we'll just see. Then after Baku, we kind of get back to racing tracks, which is
what it's all about.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's Formula One in a nutshell. Monaco, we've summed it up. Baku, we think we know we've summed it up.
Yeah.
And we'll talk Baku in a couple of weeks' time when we can reveal how close to the truth we were. And, of course, Indy 500 now, only a few days away. So thanks for watching Racing World. We really appreciate it. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Enjoy us on Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube. And we really thank you for taking time out of your day to watch the show and join me and Bob. And we'll carry on with our coffee now, and we'll see you again soon.